And ain't it good to be in Grandma's kitchen?
Grandma's kitchen.
Sounds good, doesn't it? We're going to hear lots more of that in the next little while. But first, we're going to pan this bread. How about that? All right. You're going to hear lots more of that. Isn't that great? I know. I love the music too. Let's go. So good. Okay. I hope your bread is raised as mine. I'm going to show you mine up close. So it's risen right to the, almost to the top of the bowl. I have a different angle here because I had to put the legs of the tripod down. Okay. So here's our bread, and basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to dump it out, and it's ready to go. But you're going to prepare our pans first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray it a little bit with cooking spray, the ends especially, and I have some parchment paper that I'm going to fit into each pan. And it's great to have the parchment paper fold over on the ends because it'll help you when you have to take the loaf out of the pan. It'll come out with no problem. You do that for each of the pans. And one more. It makes 3 loaves exactly. I have, these are 9 by 5 for the most part, but that last one I did, it's a little bit bigger. I don't know what the measurement is. So I'll be making that loaf just a tad bit bigger. Okay. There we go. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to cut it in 3 pieces. So just like that. The middle section will be the larger part, and these will be for the 2 9 by 5s. All right, so for the larger loaf, I'm going to cut that exactly in half because we like to do what our kids always called bum bread. Now, if you feel you need, you know what, I'm just going to spray my hands just a little bit and just fold it under like that. You see all those nice grains? Oh, I forgot something. So I said I was going to experiment with what the recipe originally asked for, and that's the combination of flax seeds, sesame seeds, and poppy seeds. So I'm gonna try a sprinkle of that on the bottom of every pan, and we'll put it on the top after it has risen. Just a little bit more. All right. Now, in the larger pan, I'm going to fit that and just roll it over, tuck it underneath, just like that. Make room for it there. See, just perfect. Now you don't have to make the bun bread. You can just make it into one one loaf and it'll raise just fine like that. I just like that little kiss part in the middle when it's nice and fresh. When you take the loaves of the bread apart and that nice soft, oh God, that's so good. And the smell. All right. And last one. This will be a smaller loaf, I think. Doesn't matter. It's all good. And as I said, we're going to set this. I'm just going to set it over on top of a tea towel beside my stove. I'm going to loosely put saran wrap on the top because he said before, that's what Denang's White says to do. And Denang's White makes the best bread in Mabu, I can tell you that. So we're going to, if you want to spray the underside of your plastic wrap, that's fine. But I'm going to put loosely a piece of saran wrap over each one separately, not over all of them at the same time. And kind of halfway through, if you're looking like it's kind of just, touching the top too much, just gently remove that plastic wrap and put it back on. Just lay it on. Don't wrap it tight or whatever. Give it room to expand. So we only let it raise for 45 minutes. And I'll be right back with you. I'm going to put it over here and then I'm going to introduce you to our musicians. Okay, I'm just going to show you my bread. So there's just very lightly on top of every loaf. Because I know there's a couple of you are making bread for the first time, so that's exciting that you'll know exactly, and it will be no fail, I promise you that. I know there was one lady on there before talking about how she's had failure after failure in making bread. And I'm hoping that this is going to turn out just perfect for her. No, I didn't forget my seeds. The seeds went in the bottom, Odette. The seeds went in the bottom only. And when the bread is raised, that's when we're going to brush it just lightly with some warm water, very gently. And that's at that point that we put the seeds on the top after it's finished raising. So I won't forget to do that, Odette, but you don't put the seeds on the top at this point, okay? I'm sure it would be fine. If you wanted to do it that way, that's fine. But that's the way the recipe was initially told to me, so I'm going to try it that way. Thank you. Fine. Okay, so let's come into the living room where the magic happens. Okay, now let me see if I can do this. Okay. Now there, look at that fella. That's Rodney. Hi, Rodney.
Hello, hello.
And that's his first cousin, Andrea, whom you've met before, who was here playing fiddle. But of course, multi-talented as they are, she goes from the fiddle to the piano, and she can play lots of other instruments too, I think. She'll give her hand at anything. And Rodney, as I explained to you earlier, see if I can see you here. Rodney is the chief cook and bottle washer at the Gaelic College over at St. Anne's. and of course our former premier, which we are so proud of, and a former dance student of mine, I must say.
I am, yeah. Most importantly.
Do you know, Rodney, what I remember? When I see you dance, you're just, I love your dancing. Anyway, but you were trying to get the back step.
You're right, I did.
You were trying to get the back step.
over
The back
and over.
step is a step that you want to get when you're step dancing. And I remember when you got that, and it was so exciting. I mean, I can't say that I taught him. I might have shown him a couple of steps, but it was already in him, in the music, in his blood and his surroundings, just surrounded by fiddle.
I remember, I think the lessons were back in the old portables.
They
behind
were
the old school.
Exactly.
In Mabu, and I think what you did was you showed me the back step that night, and you actually had Donna MacDonald
Yes.
help me out.
You're
because
kidding.
because I couldn't get it, but by the end of the night we got it.
Isn't that
so,
funny?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I do
love
remember it. I remember
Isn't
that night. Yeah.
Something. Oh my God, I love it. And he's just grown up to be this wonderful person. So I'm going to turn it over to these fellas. So what's happening at the Gaelic College these days?
Well, lots of students online these days. And so, and we're getting ready for the summer, and we're still doing Wednesday Kayleys. We did one online this week, and we're doing one online next week.
Okay.
And then we'll get back to having our audience, and we'll see if we'll do more online.
So what happens with these online Kayleys? Is that online for people who they pay for it?
No,
or
it's available.
People can watch it?
Yeah, and it's available to them. So if they go to the Gaelic College Facebook page,
yes,
and Margie, your niece Margie, Beaton,
yes,
did looked after it this week.
Okay.
And it's available there, and then it's available afterwards to
Look.
view. Yeah,
lots
so
of things for you guys to do.
Would love to see it.
Okay, try to get this a little closer to you, fellas. Okay, you take it
All
away.
right. Oh well, we'll just start with an old Strasby. That we hear from Round Mab. included a Strathspey there, and we'll say that Strathspey is for Mary Janet, because Mary Janet is probably had more. I would say she had more impact on step dancing in the last 50 years than any other step dancers in Cape Breton, because the people that she taught other people, and it was a spiral effect. And if you go to a dance today, half those dancers are some product in some way as a result of Mary Janet's
thank you,
lessons.
thank you.
And so the second Strathspey is actually one that our grandfather, Donald Angus Beaton, where Andrea lives, behind the red shoe, where Donald Angus and our grandmother Elizabeth, where he played that Strathspey for me in their living room. That the only time I ever danced to him in the house.
Seriously.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was pretty young, but I only had a few steps, but I guess it wasn't the only time I danced to him, but it was the first time I danced to him.
Wow.
I don't know if I told you this story before. I think I mentioned it when Andrea was on the show earlier. But like, I was born in 1952, in February of 1952, and your grandfather, Donald Angus Beaton, was the taxi driver that drove my parents to the hospital the night I was born in a storm.
Yeah.
And of course, in my biological family, where I have two families, right? So I had there was Ellie Grotti and Jim Donald and Bernice and Bernie G and myself, and the others say, they can't sing or dance. They say that, and where I got the chance to step dance and do that, they blame it all on Donald Angus
on the drive.
On the drive, and that's how, by osmosis, I got the music.
Yes, he drove many people to the hospital.
I can just imagine.
I'm sure there was more than one storm.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
And he played for my wedding.
Okay.
In 1971, he played for our wedding, and I can still see him. You know how he'd bend down, and the elbow resting his. Oh my God!
Amazing, he could play sometimes, and the big mittens.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Blacksmith mittens.
Yeah.
And this is his father's fiddle.
Seriously.
This is Angus Ronald's fiddle, our great grandfather's fiddle.
Oh my gosh.
So this came from Backstreet. So when my mother was the fourth, of course Angus, Sandy, and then Francis, and then my mom, and Joey. They all started the first few years growing up on Backstreet in the old house, and then they built the other house, and then moved over to the current home. My mom was 4 or 5.
Mary came after they moved.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty sure. Yeah.
And then the other 3.
Joey was just a baby, and when they moved across the road, so.
Okay.
And so this fiddle was Angus Rawls, and then after he passed away, it went to Mary Beaton, Donald's sister, that used to own the Red Shoe at the clothing store.
Okay.
And then it went to Catherine, who was married to Thurlow Smith.
Yeah.
And then it went to, after Catherine passed away, it went to me.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's pretty special, isn't it?
So we'll try another tune.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes, take her away.
We'll try a march on that I composed for Red Alexander Beaton, one of the first ones I ever made, and he loved the music. He was my next door neighbor, a fisherman, originally a neighbor of my father's in Nabo Harbour, and every night I can still picture him out with the truck, the door open, and listening to the Cayley or Scottish strings, and the door would be open, and we'd be out in the yard playing, and you're playing road hockey, whatever it is, but you're hearing the tunes in the background. And so he loved the music. He absolutely loved it. So we'll play this one for him. mine too. I threw in the last one was a tune I made for Ryan MacDonald.
Oh, okay.
Ryan's first day of school.
No.
Real. And so I made it on his first day of school back in 2002 or 2003, whatever
Yeah.
year it was. And then I forgot about it. And I found it when he was in grade 12
Oh my
on a
God.
piece of paper.
Isn't that funny?
I found it the fall of grade 12 and I held on to it. And I gave it to him as a graduation gift.
Stop it.
Aw,
Yeah,
that's nice.
wasn't I lucky to find
yeah.
it? Yeah. And then there was a tune that John Campbell, I think, composed.
The Snappy,
The Snappy
Reel.
Reel, which is a dandy. John Campbell's a great composer,
Oh
of
my
course.
God. Sure
a dandy
was.
composer.
Yeah.
And then there was a Strathspey in there that was composed by Donald Angus for Willie Francis Fraser.
Fraser.
Willie Fraser Straths, one of the best step dancers ever that came from
Absolutely.
the island.
100%.
Beautiful dancer.
Yeah. That march that you played for Red Alexander,
Yeah.
that's a good march.
Well, thank you.
And that
Yeah,
was your
I love
first composition.
One of my first one, yeah. It was one of the first ones. The first one I made, actually, I made a jig called Kenny's Boys Jig. I made it for my father's
People, yes.
Yeah, my uncles.
Yes.
And the second one I made was called the Beatons of Mabel Reel.
Oh.
And then about the third or fourth tune I made was that.
And how old were you then?
I was in my teens, so I don't know
Yeah,
exactly how.
just
late,
amazing.
late
Isn't
80s.
it something?
Yeah.
I love the stories
Yeah.
behind
Me
the
too.
tunes.
Indeed,
too.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, there was, and I'll play another one then.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll play a jig. I'll play a jig I composed for Sally.
You can play
Sally
all
Central.
afternoon.
Sally Beaton, my
Yes.
neighbor there.
Yes.
Sally Central, which is just near the Duncragan, if anybody's not familiar with the area. But her son Norman, Angus Central, lives there, and of course Angus Central was Sally's husband.
Yeah.
And I think Central came from the telephone line.
It did because
Yes.
they had the telephone line, so they were the central location where you had to go through the operator, and they were.
And they
that
would,
was it.
yeah. Now I don't know if that was. I think that was in the village though. I don't think that was
Yeah,
actually where.
that's
Yeah,
right,
it was
yeah.
right near Andrea's house.
Yes. Yeah.
And so anyway, Sally Central, she had turned 100 at the time,
Mm-hmm.
so I made a tune for.
Not that many
Sally.
years ago.
Not that
she
many
passed
years
away
ago.
after when was she 102 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we would of course be down there all the time skating on her pond.
Ah,
We were checking it out last week. It's getting
yeah, I
close.
was checking it out too.
It might be ready now. they cut it last week to see. Okay, we'll try that tune. And then we'll go into some other tunes after that. did we play in there? We played after Sally Central's. We did. I was thinking of Buddy McMaster. We were thinking of Andrea's uncle, Buddy, and that the second jig. You'd always hear him playing it in Glencoe at the dances, or he played it quite often. And then Walking the Floor. He's such a Buddy tune. And then the last one I composed for our cousin Glenn Graham in the mid 1990s. And what I didn't realize at the time, it wasn't the first jig made for Glenn. The first one was made in the 70s, mid 70s, shortly after his birth, made by his father, Danny Graham.
Oh, really?
That's the first jig that was made for Glenn.
Oh, that's
that I'm aware of. Yeah. So
Danny wrote it?
Danny wrote it. Danny
Wow.
Danny would come
my
to our
father
house
wrote it.
when we'd be growing up, and whenever he was in, they'd usually go downstairs and play a tune, him and Mary, and sing some songs.
Yes.
Pretty well every time, growing
Okay.
up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow.
There'd always be a few tunes.
Oh my God.
He was-
So much talent. I mean, really think of that whole circle. It's amazing.
I'm
It's
very
amazing.
lucky to grow up with it.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
this house. Think of all the music in this house.
Oh
Yeah,
gosh,
so much.
just
Beautiful.
love
It's
the music.
beautiful.
It's just
And you're keeping it going.
well,
Yeah.
That's the best.
This
well,
is great.
you know what? We have to promote it.
Yeah.
We have to promote it.
Yeah.
And love it. You know, just make everybody else love it and want to come here
And bake.
These times.
and bake.
Because eating is obviously part of what you're saying. And I've done a lot of it, I know.
Eat, drink, and play tunes.
I ate a lot of bread.
Oh my God, me too.
And so, well, Margie's boyfriend calls it the Carb Coast.
The
Oh,
car-
yeah.
Yes.
We all love our carbs,
Oh,
but
we
that's
do.
okay. That's okay. Now, do you have tunes in a tune book? Did you do that?
I haven't written, no, and what happens is I'll end up writing a tune, and I bother Andrea
I'll put a
often,
book
or
together for you.
or Kinnan, and I say to them, listen, here's a tune, because I can do rough notes, but they make it look nice on with the computer program.
Computer program, yeah.
And right from when I started making tunes, I would go up to Kinnan, and he would write them up by hand for me,
Oh my gosh.
just
okay.
to make sure it was done correctly.
And he used to do put the books together by hand. Like
By hand?
Dougie MacDonald's book, he did that
By hand.
with like a pen, little pen, and
Stop
a ruler.
it.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about Kinnan Beaton here. Kinnan
Yeah.
is Andrea's father, who is his uncle, and just a fine musician.
Oh, yeah.
And but put out a number of books of tunes, and so important to have that down in print.
Yeah.
I
You know,
do need to do that.
Me too.
Definitely do it.
For my kids and everything.
Yes.
I'm I do.
Have
need to
have
do
the
that.
kids
Pick
showed
me,
any
pick me.
interest?
Yes. Yeah, I'd love to do it. No, I'd love to
Please
do
give
one.
me a project.
Yeah, I'm just slack. I haven't done a CD in years.
I know.
I did my own back in 1995, and then Glenn and I did one in '97. And then we were
Oh
on the
my
Beaton
God,
one
that long ago.
in 2001 or
Seven,
two,
I think.
whatever it was,
2000
7.
Or maybe it was 2006. Anyway.
Are those CDs or those albums still available for download?
No, well, I see. I never did anything on computer with them. I just threw the tapes away about a year or two ago.
I still have boxes of licensed to driver tapes.
2 years.
Hundreds
ago.
of tapes.
My gosh.
So I didn't even reprint the CDs, but Glenn did put maybe a few things, cuts of our
Yeah.
CD together, but I haven't done anything with mine. But
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
someday.
So there's about, 15 minutes or so left in the raising of the bread, and I'm making tea, and I'm going to get you to, we're not having bread with our tea. I made some squares this morning, so you'll have squares and a cup of tea.
Ah.
Squares and a cup of tea.
Excellent.
Because we're having a couple in tonight, and we're going to play cards
Yeah.
tonight.
Good.
That's
I'm
great.
looking forward to that. My first cousin is coming, and his wife, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
And so I said, well, what can I have? I can have homemade bread, and I
Yes.
can have the squares. So
Yum.
that's what we're
Ah.
doing. But I was going to ask you before you play something else. Are any of your kids showing any promise and interest?
Yeah, they all love music, and they're young, 7, 6, and 4.
Yeah.
And but Sadie's taking a little bit of piano, and Angus took a little bit last year too. So
Right.
I want to start them out just to get used to it. And when they went to the Gaelic College for a week a couple of years ago, but they missed last summer because
Of course, COVID.
so they were so young, you know. But
Yeah.
the littlest one is actually the one she has a lot of interest.
Seriously.
In dancing, you can tell.
Yeah.
And you never
Full
know.
of music?
We'll see. Yeah, she's full of music. You can tell.
And personality. Oh my god.
Yeah. So they love music, and Ryan Ryan loves.
Ryan is his oldest
He's-
son, and works at the Hawk Radio, and I love Ryan.
He's always promoting music.
He sure
Yeah.
is, 100%.
Yeah. And he played the fiddle a little bit.
Did he really?
And
Oh,
I remember going to the Gaelic College. I used to take him there, and in the mid-90s, I remember watching him with the group of other fiddlers. He was playing tunes.
Yeah.
Then he was about 15. He just stopped,
Yeah.
and he never went back. He didn't go back to it.
So he loves dancing.
Yeah, he loves to dance.
And
yeah.
God, he loves the square sets.
He loves music.
He loves it more than any of us.
Like my mother.
Yeah.
My mother. He reminds me of my mother.
Does he?
How much
Yeah.
he loves the music.
He loves her too.
Yeah.
More than I can.
and he promotes it, you know,
Yeah.
so much that it's just.
It's great to
He's
see.
a great resource.
Yeah.
He is a young man who spans many years. He's a friend to the young, to his own age, and to the older people. He can be comfortable in any one of those situations. So
I was just telling Rodney on the way
he's
here.
an old soul.
Since we moved to Mabu, Ryan is like in my bubble. Like he's the only person we have over besides my mother and my sister. Like
Oh my God, he is that. He's wonderful.
yeah.
Well, listen, Rodney, if you play another set of tunes, that would be wonderful. But do you think you could give a step?
Sure, yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
can do that.
And how are we going to manage that?
How are we gonna do that?
Either you dance and play, or I'll play fiddle and you dance. What do you?
That'll
prefer?
probably be easier.
Okay.
I can do it the other way.
We'll roll back the carpet and
Sure.
and
Yeah.
we'll
Wee-hoo!
the little
Yeah,
rug.
we'll do that.
I haven't swept under that rug in a long time.
That's all right.
I'm sure it's
God
no
knows.
cleaner than my house
Sounds good.
that gets swept every day. The dog here.
This is just a real
There
treat
we go.
for me.
It's a treat for me.
And me.
Oh my God, there's nothing dangerous underneath there. Thank
No.
God. Everything's so far so good.
Is that okay?
That is perfect. Now I'll handle the camera, but I love watching a dancer's feet, but I will stand to you.
No, that's all right.
Loosen
Just
your
my
bow.
feet
Don't
are good.
forget when you.
Yeah,
do
you
it.
will. Yeah. Okay.
fun.
Isn't that awesome? I know.
That was great.
I love it. So wonderful. Well, while you guys are catching your breath there, did you hear what the news that I was sharing at the first of the show? You said you watched a little bit.
I saw some, but
Finn and Sarah had a little girl
Oh,
on Friday.
Yes.
That Finn Moore, who I was talking to you at the first of the show, they know Finn very well as well. And so we got a text. I got out of church this morning and I checked my phone when I got in the car, and there was a text from Finn.
Oh my god.
And they had a little girl on Friday.
Oh,
So
what did they name her?
congratulations.
they didn't name her yet.
Okay.
And my daughter Margie, right? Yeah, and Margie it was a group text to Margie and Mitchell and myself, and when Finn was born. I think they changed his name 2 or 3 times up until he was 6 months old before they settled on Finn.
Really?
Finley, yes.
Oh, wow.
And so Margie was joking with him. Maybe it'll take you 6 months to change names a few times before 6 months. But anyway, isn't that exciting news?
Yes,
Wow,
it's so
that's great.
Exciting news, little girl,
my gosh.
and 12 days early.
Wow.
12 days early.
I feel. Woo.
Isn't it emotional? Just
Wow.
I know he's just. Like I say, he's just like another son to me. He's just, spent so much time in our house, and we just love him. But anyway, I wanted to share that with you.
Very nice.
So, if you'll take it away for another little bit,
Yeah.
and
I remember staying with them back in 1995 in the the barn that was fixed up for the house there.
yes.
Yeah, back in 95.
My
Stayed with them for
God.
there's teaching step dancing in
Yes,
different spots. Yeah.
and was that when Maggie was doing that research on step
She
dancing
did.
as well?
Yeah. just
Maggie,
before that.
the person we're talking of is Finn's mother,
Mhm.
Maggie Moore, and
Yeah.
she was very involved in the step dancing movement in Scotland and investigating the roots of step dancing in Scotland, where now it's quite alive and well. There's a
Yeah.
lot of groups and single people, or soloists step dancing, so it's wonderful to see that.
Yes.
But she was, taking all the information. I still have the write-up up there in my bookcase of what she wrote, and you're mentioned in it. But lots has happened.
Yeah, I taught in '94 with Hamish at the Gaelic College.
At Keolis?
No, at Gaelic. The
Oh,
Gaelic
at the Gaelic College. Yes.
Yeah. So I didn't know them up until that point.
Okay, yeah.
That's the first time I met
Yeah.
them.
Hamish, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
he's responsible for a lot of that tradition, getting it out
Connecting.
there, connecting
Yeah.
the Cape Breton and Scotland.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. And the Keolis Music Festival is held every July in South Uist on the Outer Hebrides of Scotland, but it was cancelled last summer but it's alive and well, and it's been going on like 20 years or more, I think. 25 years now?
25 years.
Yeah. This would have been the 25th.
This would have been the 25th year.
Yeah.
Imagine.
I
Okay.
think.
There we go.
Yep. Alrighty. The tea's on. Not ready yet.
The place up will slow it down a little bit.
I'm just going to say something here before you start. So anybody, there's still about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or something. Make sure you loosen your plastic wrap very gently, okay?
Oh, the bumps look good over
The
there.
bumps are looking good.
Yes, they look delicious. Okay. We'll play Saddler's Waltz, one I composed for my wife's people in Blackstone, the Sadler MacDonalds. Dandy. Jamar's tune at the end.
John Moore's ranking.
Pulse Reel. And one I composed before that called White Lightning.
White Lightning, yes.
White Lightning.
That's on
White
the-
Lightning.
is that
And
on-
what's the
Against
story
your-
on that?
Beaton's,
Traditionally rocket.
Oh, it was on the Beaton CD.
The Beaton CD.
Yeah.
I know it was one of them.
Back in, well, of course, White Lightning will be referred to as moonshine.
Moonshine,
Oh.
yeah.
And very often around the hockey dressing room. Years ago,
Yeah.
there would be lots of moonshine going around, actually.
God.
I wish I
So
was on that team.
I composed it real in honor of
In honor of that.
in honor of the what was being passed around the dressing room. That doesn't happen now.
We were talking about bootleg
But it
thing
did
last week on the show. You're talking about moonshine. I was talking about the homemade cheese. It's like bootleg.
Yes, it's like bootleg.
Yum.
Anyway, have your tea,
Yes.
and there's a little square there,
Thank you.
little delight,
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
little tasty little bits. And I'm going to take the camera over here while you guys have your tea.
Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome. Okay. I hope you're enjoying the music. Isn't it great? It's just so awesome. Okay, I'm going to see if I can pull this up a little bit and show you. So I think I made a little misjudgment. This one is really going to be a big loaf, and those are just kind of moderate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some lukewarm water and put it in this dish. All right. And if you're not doing the sieved thing, and that's absolutely fine, but I'm going to do it for the first time, so I've not done this before. So you can put your bread in the oven right now at 400 degrees. I am just going to put a little smidgen of water, warm water, on each one. Very, very, very gently. Because if you don't, the seeds will have nothing to stick to. They won't really stay. I'm thinking. Having not done it before, I'm not saying that from experience. And I'm just going to sprinkle it over the top. Okay. There'll be lots of seeds all over my stove. Now, I have a little change in the recipe and the time it takes. The recipe says 45 minutes, but I'm going to put it in. I'm going to put it in for 35 minutes. And what I will do once it's done, I'm going to check it with the thermometer. Bread is done when your instant thermometer registers around 190, 192, and that should be well and done. I find that 45 minutes is a bit much for this bread, but you try it at 35 and see what you think. But what I'll do is I'll come back on live just at the when I'm taking it out of the oven for like 5 minutes to show you the finished product, and then my son will loop all of these videos today together, so that you'll see the finished product in the online. So there, can you see that? Okay, pop it in the oven. And I'm going to set my timer for, I'm going to say 35 minutes. And so we're going to get Rodney and Andrea to play at least just one more selection. And then we'll say goodbye, and I'll be back on live just to show you the finished product. You don't have to come back on, but know that that video will be there so that you can see what the end result is and was. See if I'm missing all these lovely messages. There's 623 people watching at this point. Isn't that crazy? Oh, are you looking at my teapot? Yes, it's a Pyrex teapot. If that ever broke, I would die. And the only way I got that many years ago, I want to say 30 years ago, I got that teapot, and it was somebody who went to New Brunswick and went to a yard sale, and somebody was selling it, and I got it then. And I think I paid like $40 or $50 for it at that point. But, it's the best teapot, and I would die without it for sure. All right. Thank you. Rodina Braden is saying, thank you. What a wonderful show. I'm so glad you enjoyed it, because we love you all. Oh my gosh. So let's turn it back to these wonderful folks. And I know you know this, but I just wanted to say it again. These musicians that come here, you know, they get a cup of tea and something, and that's it, basically it. And they do it out of the goodness of their heart for me, for Cape Breton, for our music and our traditions. So thank you, Rodney and Andrea. I love it.
And we would do anything for her.
Anything.
I'm very lucky.
We love her to death.
Thank you.
Family.
So I'll let you guys take another turn at a tune, and then while you're still playing it, I'll take them off and chat and say goodbye while you're playing. Okay.
Okay.
I know. I don't want it to end either. But thank you, everyone, for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. I love you. Love one another. And this is it. This is as good as it gets. See you. Bye-bye. Hi, everybody. I just took the bread out of the oven. It was done at 35 minutes. The internal thermometer that I used registered 192, which means the 45 minutes that's on that recipe is too much. So take it out. If you have the ability to have a thermometer, that would be great. But here's what it looks like. It smells amazing. And there's the big loaf. But I want to just say one thing. Now, usually what I would do with a loaf of bread, just fresh out of the oven, I like a soft crust, and I would take the plastic wrap, put butter on it, and rub the butter all over it, and that gives you the soft crust. But since it has a few grains on there, if you don't want to put butter on it, you'll just have a harder crust. And if maybe you like it like that. But it's a dense bread, it's a great bread, and I hope that it turns out for all of you. So I'm just on here really quickly just to show you that much. So again, bye-bye everybody. Bye-bye.